Okay, so if you recall in our last video, we were talking about multiplication and division problem word types. So we had two different problem types, which were equal group problems or comparison problems. This is the table on page 47 that I'm looking at. So we discussed that with multiplication, there are kind of these three different ways that you could solve a multiplication problem. And so either the whole was unknown, the size of the group was unknown, or the number of groups was unknown. So I mentioned that for the problems where the size of the group is unknown or the number of groups is unknown, we set them up in this format. So A times something equals C and something times B equals C. And that we would actually solve these multiplication problems by doing division. So you'll see on the headings right here, we have something called partition division and measurement division. So the video today just wants to focus on the distinction between partition and measurement. So before we look at one of the pages of the course pack, I just wanted to do a little discussion with you. So like I said, we have the two different types. We have partition division, or partitive division, and we have measurement division. And sometimes this is called quotative division. So maybe you'll see it called quotative. Okay. So with partition division or partitive division, we know the number of groups or the number of parts that exist. So that would be the situation of something like 4 times something equals 12. So remember, with multiplication, it's always the number of groups times the size equals the product or the whole. So with partition, we know, again, the number of groups we have, but we don't know the size. So an example of this in terms of word problems, maybe you say, I have 12 cookies. And since we know the number of groups, maybe I want to put the cookies, so put them on 4 plates equally. So the question would be, we were trying to find the size. So how many cookies should I put on each plate? Okay, so that might be my question. So if I were to draw a picture of this, I would start with my 4 plates. And then I would go one at a time. If I had 12 cookies, so I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I would end up with 4 plates of 3 cookies. So again, 4 being the number of groups, and 3 being the size. Messed up my S right there. So 4 plates of 3 cookies. Okay. All right. So then in terms of measurement, measurement is where we know the size, but we don't know the number of groups. So if we're using the same fact family here, that would be a situation where I don't know the number of groups, but I have 4 of something in each group, and I have 12 items total. So I'm still trying to just use my 4 and my 12. So a word problem example for this one then would be, again, I have 12 cookies, but this time we know the size. So this would say, I have a grouping of 4 cookies. So I want to put 4 cookies on each plate. So the question would be, how many plates do I need? How many groups do I need? So how many plates do I need to hold my cookies? All right, so then if I wanted to draw a picture of this time, I would start with my 12 cookies, and it would almost be like I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So, oh, they need a plate. So there's my plate. And then 5, 6, 7, 8. There's another group of 4 cookies. They get a plate. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then they get a plate. So in this case, we end up with 3 plates of 4 cookies apiece, where again the plates are the number of groups, and the 4 cookies is the size. Okay. Another way that I try and remember this is thinking about partitive and measurement is trying to remember partitive or partition has the word part, so part should try and help you remember groups. Whereas measurement, if you think of measuring something, it's like the length of something with a ruler, so it's the size. So that is when you know the size of something. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at page 55 and 56. It's an activity that says partitive or measurement. And let me zoom in a little bit on these problems. They're a little blurry, I apologize. But this one says, identify each division problem as either partitive or measurement, then rewrite the problem to represent the other type. So maybe first you should take a minute and try to see if you can just figure out of these 4 problems and then 4 on the back. Are they partitive? Are they talking about knowing groups? Or are they talking about size and referring to measurement? So why don't you take a minute just to do that part only. Decide between the two. So pause the video, and then when you come back, we will double check our answers. Okay. So we're back. So with number 1, it says, Mrs. Smith has 360 new pencils to share between 20 pupils. How many pencils will each child get? So the thing you want to ask yourself is, are the 20 pupils, are those like groups, or are those a particular size of something? So in this case, this one is going to be partitive. So I'm just going to write P for partitive. Because you would have the 20 students, and then you would just be passing out the 360 pencils among those 20 students. Okay, so that is why this one is going to be partitive. So this would be 20 students getting how many pencils each? Would be a total of 360 pencils. Okay, so we know the size. If we were to rewrite this, it would need to say something like you have 360 pencils. You would want to change 20 to a size. So maybe each student gets 20 pencils. So how many students are there? So a measurement example, like I just said, I'm just going to kind of shorthand this, but 360 students, oh, sorry. Not students, 360 pencils. So if you had 20 pencils per student, then how many students? Okay. So another joke that I normally tell if you were in person is for measurement. I always call measurement like the Oprah of math. So I don't know if you remember famously when Oprah would be like, you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car at one of her shows. So it's the same idea. Size is like that. So it's like you get 20 pencils and you get 20 pencils and you get 20 pencils, and then you count to see how many people actually got those 20 pencils. So that's a measurement example. All right, number 2, let's see. Tickets for the latest film cost $9 each. Your family has $48 saved up. How many of you can go to the cinema to see the film? So you want to ask yourself, is the $9 going to be a group, or is it the size of something? So in this particular case, it is going to be the size of something. So this one is a measurement problem. So that's kind of what I was just saying about Oprah. Like, here's $9, you get a ticket. Here's $9, you get a ticket. Here's $9, you get a ticket. And then you're counting the number of tickets that you're going to be able to buy. So this would be, how many people in your family will use up $9 a piece in order to spend a total of $48? So, and then I realized I should use better numbers because that doesn't divide evenly. But if you were to switch it, it would need to say something like, there are 9 family members that go to the movies. It cost $48 for tickets. So if each ticket costs the same amount, then how many tickets did you buy? Oh, not how many tickets you need. You need 9 tickets. So this should actually say, I screwed this up. So it's not how many tickets you need, it's the cost per ticket. So what is the cost per ticket? Sorry about that. Okay. So 9 times some price gives you a total of $48. So cost per ticket. All right, how about number 3? When you're at the cinema, you see that the 504 seats are divided into 7 equal sections. How many seats are there in each section? So sections would be like groups. So this is going to be a partitive question, or parts. So 7 sections have how many seats apiece in order to make 504 seats total? If you were to switch this to a measurement question, it would say something like maybe there are 504 seats in the theater. Or is that, yeah. I called it the cinema earlier, but. So if we have 504 seats in the theater, maybe we want size. So maybe there are 7 seats per row. That would be like the size of something. So then the question would be, how many groups or how many rows would there be? So how many rows? Okay. All right, number 4. A batch of new reading books has been delivered to school. There are 275 books. Each class needs 15 books. How many classes will get the books that they need? So the 15, is that groups or size? So that would be a size. So that would be measurement. So how many classrooms are getting 15 books apiece in order for there to be a grand total of 275 books? If you were to switch this to partitive, there would be 275 books. This time the 15 would be like groupings, so there would be 15 classes. So the big question would be, how many books would be in each class, would each classroom get? How many books per class? All right, on to the back. Number 5, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Jones, and Miss Dawson share a big box of chocolates. There are 12 different types of chocolates in the box. There are 168 chocolates altogether. So how many are there of each type of chocolate? So we have 168 total. So is the 12, are those like groups, or is that the particular size of something? So since they're different types, those would be like groupings. So this is going to be partitive. So it's like you have 12 different types of how many of each type. So maybe the types would be like, maybe there's like a peanut butter one, maybe there's a strawberry one, maybe there's a vanilla one. So whatever they happen to be. So there's a certain number of each flavor, and there's a total of 168 of them. Okay. If we switch this to measurement, we could say we have 168 chocolates. There are 12 of each flavor. So then the question would be, how many flavors would there be? So that would be flipping it around. Okay, because it would be like, here's 12 strawberry, here's 12 vanilla, here's 12 orange, and then you would count how many there would be. Those would be the groups. Number 6, let's see, Emily, William, and Sarita go trick-or-treating together. Emily gets 26 sweets, William gets 21, Sarita gets 25. If they share them equally, how many sweets will each of them get in the end? So the candy is being equally divided among 3 kids. So the kids are like groups. So this is also partitive. So let's see, we have, let's see. So we have 3 kids are getting how many pieces of candy apiece to get a grand total of, so let's see how many is that? So 20, 40, 50, 60, 5, 6, 6, 7, 6, 8, 9, 70. So I think it's 71. Maybe 72. So 11, 12, so 32, 52, 72, yes. Okay, so 72. All right, so equally divided among the 3. So to switch it to measurement, maybe you would say there are 72 pieces of candy. Maybe each student or each person gets 3 pieces. Okay, so then the question would be, how many people would you be able to give candy to? How many groups? Okay. Number 7, let's see. Eddie collects some Moshi Monster cards. He has 462 of them. He decides to share them equally between himself and his 2 older brothers. How many will each boy get? So this is exactly like the last one. They're being equally divided among 3 people. So that is partitive. So there are 3 boys are getting how many cards each? So they get 462 cards total. And then just like the last one, if we were to switch this to measurement, we would have 462 cards. Again, maybe you're passing them out and each kid gets 3 cards. So then how many total kids could possibly get these cards? Okay. And then finally, number 8, the principal is taking students on a trip to the beach. So there are 210 children and 24 adults going along. How many 42-seater buses will he need to use? So this one, the 42-seated buses, are those groups, or is that a particular size? So a 42-seater would be the size. So this is a measurement problem. So how many buses that can hold 42 people each would it take to take all of these people on a trip? So 210, so there's what, 234 people total? If we were to flip this around, let's see, it would almost be like saying, this may not be realistic, but it would be like saying there are 234 people and you would have 42 buses. So how many people on each bus? Okay. So let's see. 234. Just seeing what the answer is. So that's approximately like 5 people per bus. So not very realistic. Not very economical for the school system. So I hope this video clarifies the difference between partitive and measurement. So you do have a test coming up this week. So I will be asking you to be able to explain the difference between partitive and measurement, be able to identify them. Again, it relates back to our word problem types, whether the size is unknown or the number of groups is unknown. So make sure that you know how to do these for your exam coming up.